Hello and welcome to Options in Plain English. Today we're going to be talking about probability of profit and how to calculate it. We've already seen some simple strategies dealing with options. Long call, long put, short call, and short put. We know that the long call, for example, is a bullish position, same as the short put, and we know that the bearish positions are the long put and the short call. We can see here that when we look at the risk profile, we can see that they have a losing area and a profitable area, all of them. And it matches the fact that, for example, a long put is a bearish one because you can see that the profitable area is toward the downside. It would be interesting to know, though, what the probability of expiring in this profitable area is for all the different strategies, so that we can have a number, a percentage, and when we put on a position, we can know that, for example, a long call, this particular trade has a 40% probability of profit, or a short call would have a 70% probability of profit. This is what we're going to be working with today, and we're going to learn how to calculate it by using our platform. What is probability of profit? Well, the probability of profit is the probability of having a profit at expiration, even if it is as little as 1 cent. So we're not talking about how much money we're making here. We're just talking about making money at all. So making even a penny. So for a long call, for example, here, starting at this point, anything beyond this point is going to be profitable. Same with the long put. Anything below this point would be profitable. And same with the short call and the short put. So what is this point called? It's called the break even. A break even for us as option traders is the underlying price at expiration at which the profit and loss is zero. It usually separates a profitable area from a losing area. So all of these points, if you look at the risk profile, you can see that it's clearly marked as BE or break even. It's a very important part of a risk profile graph, and it's always there, separating the losing area from the profitable area. You can see here, break even, losing, and this is a profitable area. Now, if we start looking at an actual example in a way to get this information, the break even and and eventually the probability of profit, which is what we're trying to get here, and we look at the information we see on our trading platform, you can see, for example, here, I've pulled up the information for NVIDIA, NVDA, and we have the delta for the different, this is the 19th of June 2020 expiration, so 45 days to go right now. We have the delta for calls and for puts as well. So I pulled up the delta here, and I've also pulled up the information for probability of in the money and probability of out of the money. So these are probability of expiring in the money and probability of expiring out of the money. So one of the things that you learn when you start looking at delta is the delta can be used as an approximation or as a proxy for probability of in the money. So for the probability that the underlying is going to expire in the money for that particular strike price. And we can see here that yes, it is an approximation, but it is not exactly the same. So the delta is only somewhat of an approximation to the actual value of probability of expiring in the money. In particular, the delta is usually too high for the calls and too low for the puts. So it's always overstating the probability for calls, and it's always understating the probability for puts. So we can see here, for example, the 330 strike, the call has a delta of 29, but a probability of expiring in the money of 23.83%. With the puts, the 270 strike put has a delta of 28 and a probability of expiring in the money of 34. So basically it's too low for puts, so it's understating the value, the actual probability for puts. So what does this mean? Well, that it means that if you don't have access to any other information and you only have delta, then yeah, you can use delta and it's going to give you a very good approximation. But if you do have access to probabilities of in the money or out of the money, of expiring in the money or out of the money, then you probably should use those. And this is what we're going to do here. Now, of course, this sounds kind of logical, but it's worth stating. The probability of expiring in the money plus the probability of expiring out of the money is always going to be 100%. So you can see it here. If you look here, 37 plus 63 is 100. 20 plus 20, pretty much 21 plus 79 is going to be 100. It's always going to be 100. So they're the complement of each other. And when we look at the number as a 100% probability. For us, what I've always done is if you have delta, probability of expiring in the money and probability of expiring out of the money, you can use whatever you want. I would suggest you use either in the money or out of the money. And for me and for the traders that I've trained, I've always suggested to use probability of in the money. It's a little bit more intuitive, and because it's closer to delta, so you don't have to be subtracting it from 100%, etc. It's somewhat more straightforward value and something that you can use easily. So we're going to be using probability of in the money for our examples here. So now we're going to take a look at some examples here, and what we're going to do is we're going to have an example and we're going to be determining the probability of profit for that particular trade. We're going to use the information that's available in your trading platform. So it's something that you can easily do, and you just go there and get the information, and you're going to be able to do it in your head later on. But for now, let's just concentrate on getting all the concepts right. The first example is we're going to look at a long call. So the example says we're going to buy the June 2020, so 45 days to expiration, 300 call. We're going to buy this one, this one right here, for $20. So we know that if we have a long call, the break even, which is the first thing you need to determine, the break even is going to be the strike plus what you paid for the call. So in this case, it's going to be 300 plus 20. Okay, because you're going to start making money at expiration if the price of the underlying is higher at 20 or higher than 20. So we're going to use the probability of in the money, as we were saying, of expiring in the money. And with the break even of 320, we're just going to look at what the probability of expiring in the money is for that point. And since this is the probability of expiring in the money, and if it expires in the money, you're going to make money, then in a very straightforward way, the probability of in the money is your probability of profit. What does this mean? It means that if you buy the June 2020 $300 call for $20, the probability that you're going to make money is around 30%. Now remember, these numbers are going to be expressed in a very accurate manner, but these are only estimations because these are valid for the particular implied volatility that's getting these numbers. So for whatever is being traded at the moment in the market, but it can change anytime. So these are estimations, but these are very good estimations to have, because now you know that by putting on this trade, for example, you have the probability or the possibility of unlimited profits, but the probability that you will make a profit is around 30%. Now another example is going to be a short put. We're going to be selling the June 2020 295 put for $20. You can see here the strike price is going to be $295. We're going to be receiving $20 as a credit, and the break even is going to be the strike price minus, because we're going to be going down in price, minus the cost of the put, or the money, the credit you got for the put, which is $20. So the break even is going to be, we're going to be using the probability of expiring in the money, and the break even is going to be 275, 295 minus 20. This is the 295. These are the $20 that you got. So it pushes the break even down. And then at this point, anything that's below, you're going to lose money, and anything that's above, you're going to make money. Remember, you only need to make 1 penny to fall into this profitable area, and that's the probability of profit that we're going to figure out. Okay, so 275, we go here to the $275 strike price, and we see that the probability of expiring in the money is 37.74. So if it expires in the money, then you're going to be losing money. So what you don't need this area, you need the other area, you need the profitable area. So if you know that altogether this is 100%, so the in the money and out of the money, then you can calculate your probability of profit just by taking the complement to 100%. So the probability of profit is going to be 100% minus the probability that you're going to be losing money, 37.74. So your probability of profit is going to be 62%, 62.26%. So just to recap, if you sell the June 2020 295 put for $20, that trade has a probability of profit, so a probability of making at least 1 penny of 62.26%. Now remember, this is at this point in time. This factors are going to be changing over time, but right now, this is your probability of profit. Now let's take a look at a different scenario. We're still going to be looking at NVIDIA, NVDA, and we're going to be looking at a short call. So we're going to be selling a call. We're going to sell the June 2020 315 call for $13.50. So if you look at a short call, if you look at the risk profile, you're going to be selling the call right here, and you're going to be getting a credit for $13.50. So that's going to push your break even higher in price, and this is going to be your boundary for a profitable area and a losing area. So this is what we want to get. We want to get the probability of profit. So we know that the break even is going to be the strike price plus the credit that you got for the call. So 315 plus 1350. So the break even is going to be $328.50. So we go to the platform and we look for the $328.50 strike price. Well, it doesn't exist. What we have is we have the 325 and we have the 330. So what happens if the break even is between strikes? Well, if you have a price that is in between a higher price and a lower price, and you have the higher price percentage and the lower price percentage, and you want to figure out what the percentage is for the actual break-even price that you're looking at, then you're going to be using interpolation, which is a way of estimating a value that's between two known values. In this case, we have the lower price, you have the break-even price, and then you have the higher price, and you have a lower price percentage. This one is known. A higher price percentage. This one is known right here. And what we want to find out is what the break-even percentage is. So this is just a matter of applying a formula, which is very simple. It basically is the break-even price minus the lower price, okay, divided by the higher price minus the lower price to get the whole range, multiplied, so you get the which portion of that range is going to be applied to the percentage. So now you get the difference in percentages, the higher price percentage minus the lower price percentage, and that is the difference that you add to the lower price percentage, and then you're going to get the break-even percentage. So what I've done here is something that you can easily do. I've taken all this information and I plugged it into an Excel formula, and I enter all these values: lower price, break-even price, higher price, lower price percentage, break-even percentage, higher price percentage. Something that's very simple. It's just to do it very quickly. And I've plugged in all the different values: 325, 328 and a half, 330, and then the percentages that you see here, 2693 and 2383, and the break-even percentage comes out as 24.76%. So of course, if you're trading and in the middle of being very busy and doing a lot of other things, what you can do is you can just estimate it yourself in your head. So you know there's going to be a number between 2693 and 2383. I'm just showing you here what a more accurate number is, but you can work with a number between this one and this one. Okay, now that we know that 2476 is the number, now we know that this is going to be the number for anything expiring at break even and higher, and we don't want that because that's going to be the losing area. So we want the probability of profit is going to be 100%, the whole range, minus this number that we calculated, 24.76%, and that's going to give you your probability of profit, which is 75.24%, so around 75%. So what we've seen here is just a way to having a trade estimate, being able to estimate what the percentage or what the probability is that you're going to be making money. Having this number is not going to affect your profit and loss, but it's going to affect your decision making, because now you're going to know whether a trade is worth putting on or whether a trade is worth keeping. Once you know, because remember, these numbers are dynamic. They're going to be changing over time and as conditions change. So a trade that started as a 24% or 75% probability of profit, maybe if the price starts going down, then this probability is going to be higher, and you're going to have already some profit, and you're going to have to make a decision whether you keep the profit, take it off, or whether you keep it on and try to maximize the profit from that particular trade. So because of this, it is very important to understand the concept behind probability of profit. Now, do you need to have the formula with you at all times? No. You just over time you're going to be able to very quickly go to the platform and estimate your probability of profit very quickly. Like I said before, if you only have access to the delta numbers, you can use them, and it's going to just know that for calls, the delta is slightly overstating the probabilities, and for puts, the opposite is understating the probabilities by a little bit. So once you know that, you can work with deltas, no problem. But if you have access to the probability of expiring in the money or out of the money, why not? Just use those, because those are more accurate. And again, you're going to be, later on, you're going to be able to go to your platform, and if you want to buy a call spread or buy a call, buy a put, whatever it is you want to do, you're going to look here in your head, you're going to be adding the credit or subtracting the debit, or whatever it is that your trade calls for, and you're going to be able to once you know that your break-even price falls between two strikes, you're going to be able to quickly get a very rough estimate, and that's going to be enough for you to make decisions. You don't need to get this accurate number every time. But now that you know where it comes from, it's good. It's a good thing to know. Again, most important thing is that you understand that the probability of profit is the probability of making at least 1 cent, and it's a good indication of how not how profitable your trade is going to be, but what are the odds that you're going to make at least 1 cent in this trade. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I hope that the information you got from here is going to be useful for you, and you're going to be able to apply it during your day-to-day trading. Thank you very much. Goodbye.